The scent of damp concrete and fresh anxiety hung in the air of the basement. Maria Ortega knelt, her fingers tracing a hairline crack radiating from a collapsed section of ceiling slab. Around her, the groans of the new-build affordable housing complex felt personal, a chorus of disapproval aimed directly at her. "See," said the site foreman, his voice echoing in the cavernous space. "Just like we said, substandard grout in the blockwork, a construction error, not your design." Maria nodded, her engineer's eye confirming the obvious. A pallet of materials had been stored improperly on the floor above, and a localized weakness had given way. It was a clean, simple narrative, a contractor's problem. Her reputation, built on a foundation of uncompromising integrity, remained intact. The relief was a physical warmth in her chest, so potent it almost masked the deeper, colder dread that had lived there for over a year. Back in the site office, a temporary cabin smelling of coffee and sawdust, she began drafting her preliminary report. The words came easily. Localized failure, construction methodology, no inherent design flaw. She was signing her name with a flourish when a soft knock interrupted her. Sam Chen, her junior engineer, stood there. He was holding a tablet, his knuckles white. "Maria, a word?" "Make it quick, Sam. I want to get this initial assessment out." He didn't speak. Instead, he placed the tablet on the desk. On it was a structural analysis model of the complex, her complex, but with a stress point highlighted in angry, pulsating red. It wasn't near the collapse. It was in a primary load-bearing wall on the opposite side of the building. "I was running a comparative model," Sam said, his voice barely a whisper. "A training exercise. I used the original design schematics." He swiped, and another window opened, a scanned PDF of her own calculations from 2 years ago. He zoomed in on a cell. A single, catastrophic decimal point. A coefficient of 0.8 where it should have been 1.8. A miscalculation that turned a robust support into a potential house of cards. The warmth of relief in Maria's chest evaporated, replaced by an arctic void. The cabin walls seemed to press in. She remembered that week with painful clarity. The frantic call from the hospital, the blur of flights, the smell of antiseptic, and the sight of her father, small and still in the white bed. She had finished these calculations in a sterile waiting room, her focus shattered, her world reduced to a single failing heartbeat. "It's a cascading failure model," Sam continued, his voice gaining a shred of confidence. "The collapse today, it's a symptom, a distraction. The real weakness is here." He tapped the red zone on the screen. "It could hold for years, or it could go next week under the right load. A heavy snowfall, a party on the top floor." Maria's vision tunneled. Her integrity, the cornerstone of her identity, was a lie. She saw not just the error, but its consequences. Her professional ruin was the least of it. The complex, named Sanctuary Homes, was full. Families who had scraped together their futures for this chance. If she came clean, the building would be condemned. Lawsuits would bury the nonprofit developer. The residents would be displaced, their investment lost. To stay silent was to gamble with their lives. "You understand what this means, Sam?" she asked, her voice unnaturally calm. He swallowed. "I think so." "The media will call it criminal negligence. They'll say I was reckless. They won't care why." She looked at him, truly looked at him. He was young, his career a pristine blueprint. "You have a copy of this?" He held her gaze. "I do." "And what will you do with it?" The silence that stretched between them was the true confrontation. It wasn't with Sam, but with the ghost of her father, a man who had fixed watches for 50 years and believed a single speck of dust could throw the whole universe of gears out of balance. "I became an engineer to build safe things for people who need them," Sam said finally. It wasn't a threat, it was a statement of his own foundation. Maria stood, her legs feeling foreign and weak. "Give me the night, Sam. That's all I ask. No reports, no emails, just the night." He hesitated, then gave a single, sharp nod and left. That night, Maria didn't sleep. She spread the original schematics across her dining table, the ghost of her grief a tangible presence in the room. She saw her father's face in the faded lines of the drawings. He had taught her that true strength wasn't about never breaking, it was about how you mend what is broken. For a year, she had mistaken professional perfection for healing. The next morning, she called an emergency meeting. In the room were the developers, the site foreman, and Sam. The air was thick with anticipation. Maria stood before them, her report in her hands. She didn't open it. "My initial assessment was incorrect," she began, her voice clear and steady, carrying a weight that silenced the room. "The collapse was a construction error, but it revealed a more significant issue, a critical flaw in my original design." She laid it out, cold and precise. The misplaced decimal, the potential for catastrophic failure. She did not mention her father. The error was hers. The context was not an excuse. She saw the shock on the developers' faces, the dawning horror on the foreman's. "This is a disaster," the lead developer whispered, pale. "It is a problem," Maria corrected him, her engineer's mind finally clear of the fog of fear. "And problems have solutions. I have worked all night on a retrofit design. We can install reinforcing steel columns at key points. It will be intrusive and costly, but it will make the building stronger than it was ever designed to be. I will personally oversee every step. I will cover the engineering costs from my own firm. And I will present this, along with my resignation and a full public explanation, to the residents this afternoon." The room was stunned into silence. It was Sam who spoke first. "The retrofit is sound," he said, his voice firm and loud. He placed a new set of prints on the table. The ones they had, in truth, worked on together over a frantic, secretive video call past midnight. "It's an elegant solution." He hadn't given her the night to hide. He had given it to her to find a way to be Maria Ortega again. That afternoon, Maria stood before the residents in the community hall. She saw the faces of young families, of elderly couples, their trust a fragile thing. She told them everything: the flaw, the risk, the plan to fix it. She offered no excuses, only a solution and a profound apology. There was anger, of course, fear. But as she explained the retrofit, the steel that would weave a new skeleton of safety through their home, the emotion in the room shifted from betrayal to a grim, reluctant understanding. Later, as the hall emptied, an old woman approached her. She took Maria's hand, her own skin papery and warm. "You didn't have to tell us," she said. "You could have walked away." Maria looked at the woman, then at Sam, who was patiently answering a torrent of technical questions from a concerned father. She thought of her own father, of the integrity that was not about being perfect, but about being whole. "No," Maria said, her voice soft but firm. "I couldn't. A foundation can't be built on a lie." This time, the words were not a brand. They were a truth, tested and proven under a weight she now knew she could bear.